guys, and welcome back to the podcast. So it has been a really crazy personal month for me. I will be getting into that in future episodes, but that is why we are in casual fucking city today. Backgrounds change. We just have a lot of personal stuff going on, but I am extremely excited about this episode, you guys. I recorded with Sara Vezensek. She is such a cool bitch. Like, when you talk to those people and you're like, I could talk to all day. That was our conversation. Sara is a business coach right now, but she has an incredible backstory of where she came from, how she grew up in this like very traditional sense of women become mothers and wives and don't make money and kind of don't do their own thing. And she got inspired at a very young age with a conversation with her mother about going out and becoming something and wanting to do something on her own. She literally hustled her little booty hole in her like teens to make money and chase her dreams. She ended up working as a chef on a yacht, which we talked about and kind of go in. But the thing that I really want you guys to take away from her story is just how she defined freedom and how her interaction by walking up to this random woman in her like teens who like was coming off of the yacht, living her best life, making money for herself, literally changed the entire trajectory of her career and her life, led her to being a business coach, led her to defining freedom in her own way. If you guys are people who really like to be inspired by other people's stories, you all will love this episode with Sara. I can't wait for you guys to listen. Sara, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Hello, hi. I am so honored to be here, and I have a feeling this is going to be an amazing one just because of our bouncy energy and like firecracker excitement that we already have before we even get into it.
We do have very similar energy, and it's so funny, you guys. So like, I remember when Sara messaged me, she's like, I'd love to be on the podcast and talk about freedom and kind of talk about her experience and journey in freedom. This girl, like, she like sent in the resume, bitches. Like, she was like, here we are. I want to come. This is what I want to talk about. Like, I've never seen someone so enthusiastic to be on the podcast. Like, I feel like this was like on the vision board to be like, I'm going to be on Full Plate of Pasta. I'm so excited, one, that you're here, and also two, that you want to talk about freedom, because I think that as business owners, we always preach freedom. Like, obviously, like, we create businesses because we want to have the time flexibility. We want to be able to do what we want, make good money. But I'm curious, like, when you talk about freedom, like, what does it mean to you now? Like, maybe I'm sure it's changed. Like, when you think about freedom, like, what does that definition look like for you?
I love that question because it did change. Freedom used to mean money to me, quote unquote, because I thought that money makes you happy, money gives you everything. What I didn't understand that true freedom is actually location freedom, having, time freedom. And yes, then having that financial independence that supports that. But where I come from, Slovenia, we were just taught to work really, really hard, and then you're going to have money, and then you're going to be free and happy. But you don't really know much about me, which is like, I love that we're doing this way. But I worked in a world of like rich and famous and work on yachts and flew on jets and met the 1% of the world, which is what people dream of. They want that lifestyle. And I was so unhappy. I thought that was it. There was something missing. And I was so upset because I was like, well, I have it all, quote unquote. Why am I not happy? And came to a conclusion that I didn't have my freedom. And if I don't have my freedom, doesn't matter how my bougie reality looks like, I am not happy. And that's my number one priority always.
Wow, that's really powerful. I have felt the same way as well. Like, I think a lot of people have this idea that like this one thing is going to make you happy, and then you get it, and then there's a disconnect, and you almost have like an identity crisis because you're like, I've been chasing this thing for so long. Can you tell me about Slovenia? Because I am not one of those people who is good at geography. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm glad that I know where the United States is. It's such a horrible thing about the US is we're so selfish because all we know is our own country. Like, I've been to Canada and they're like, oh yeah, you're in St. Louis, Missouri, and they know exactly where that's at. And I'm like, I couldn't tell you a single city in Canada besides like Calgary and whatever. Like, it just horrible. Slovenia, is that where you're from? And then you also grew up there and you also live there now, right? Like, tell me about Slovenia. Like, what's it like? What's it known for? Like, give me the history lesson here.
For sure. And first of all, I want to tell you that it's kind of not you guys' fault because the education system is terrible in
the US.
Like, yeah, like,
okay, I can take that. I can take that feedback.
I mean, I used to spend a lot of time in US and I have like so many friends from US. My husband's from US. But the key thing there is they don't really teach you worldwide geography, as you said, like they teach you about your country and your number one and all of that, which is pros and cons. But Slovenia is a tiny, tiny country. We have 2 million people in total.
Wow.
2 million. That's
Okay,
it.
you're small. Okay.
Very tiny. And then I also felt like this girl with big dreams in a country that no one even heard about. Everybody thinks it's Russia or Slovakia or,
Yes.
a
Okay.
made up place.
Yes. Okay. Like, was it a small town vibe? Like, you had the traditional small town, big dreams type thing. So, was your circle then a lot of like just, I'm assuming hustlers, like people who just, not in a bad way, hustlers, people that worked really hard for what they had, always said, like, if I ever left this country, I would do something with my life. Like, was that your narrative, like when you were growing up?
No, that was actually the exact opposite. And I was the hustler. I was the one, I want to make it happen.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that.
Girl, I was 13 when I started working in a wine
Okay.
bar, which is unheard of, but I was in the back rolling cutlery, juicing oranges, like trying to make my own money. And no one understood why I'm pushing myself so hard. They're like, but you
Okay.
can have a husband, you can have, a cow, a farm, and be happy. I was like, no.
Wait, you were 13 and they're like, you can have a husband. Okay, that's funny. All right. Different cultural thing. All right.
Exactly. But also, to give you an example, our capital city has 200,000 people. That's the biggest city.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very small town, even if it's a big town for my country. But I do not know why I was so ambitious, because I had not a single example of a powerful woman. So I was kind of avoiding it because it was all overworked, middle aged white men that were successful. And I was like, well, I guess a woman can't really have it because I never had an example.
Was that like a lot of what your country is? I'm just very curious. Like, get married, women play like the homeowner role, and that was like the role. Was that like the narrative that was pretty common?
Yes, to also give you an example, like Slovenia hasn't been a country until 1991. So we're only, what, 34 years old.
Oh my
Yes,
God, your country's a year older than me. Damn.
exactly.
Wow, that's wild. Okay, so this is so sorry. I'm like so interested in this because I try to shed light on the fact that like as people we can have moments where we say like I don't have an awareness of things. I think that there is this idea in America that like if you're in other countries, you either have, issues here, issues here, issues here. And it's very interesting because when I was reading about you and learning a little bit more about you, I'm like, I feel like there are some traditional expectations around like women play this traditional role in America. That's had to change a lot because of just everything's so expensive. But that also like maybe there was poverty or maybe people were like in small areas. But then you were talking about like, you were working with private chefs and all these people. I'm like, what was your country like? Like, I'm just like, this is so cool. Like, I'm just like so fascinated by this.
No, I love it because I always felt like an alien or like the odd one out. And everybody was making fun of me for having these big, wild dreams. But ever since I was little, I was like, I want to make it big. I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. And it was never about the money. I didn't know back then what I wanted, but I wanted to help people. And I
Okay.
knew that with money, I can like raise other women up, give them freedom, give them experiences. Because to give you an example, a monthly salary in Slovenia is $1,000, like a normal one,
Wow.
very
Okay.
little.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with $2,000 a month, you're kind of balling. I mean, you're doing good for yourself. And I was 13 earning $1,000 a month. So I
Wow.
was, that's kind of like what 8K as a 13-year-old in US, let's say. That's a shit ton of money for where I was living.
You're pacing like a six-figure salary basically in
Pretty
US.
much. Yeah, exactly. Like comparison with like prices and stuff. So I was like, oh, if I have my own money, I can help people. I can like take them out. I can buy tickets. I can go travel. I can do all these things. And I'm 13, so I have no idea what life is, that I'm not a grown up, any of that. And when it really started was when I went to college. And I went to college because I had to go to college. It's kind of this like system, right? You go to college, get a degree, get a job, and all of that. And I felt so lost. Everybody's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Leave me alone. Like, there's no college for what I want to do. So I decided
Yeah.
to go study food science and nutrition. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to pass this, get a degree. And then had a mental note of like, I'm never going to do a traditional path. I just knew it and kind of followed my heart. But the funny thing was, I at 18, then to tell you how I got onto yachts and jets and all of that, because it doesn't make any sense from someone who's from Slovenia. I think maybe one person owns a jet here in the whole country, probably if.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I decided to apply to be a chef at 18 on yachts with no experience. Like I just see
But
it
wait,
and
how
I
did
go
you
for it.
find that opportunity? Like, what the first of all, I can't make like more than a grilled cheese and frosted flakes. Like, I'm fucked in the kitchen department. I've always had the most beautiful kitchens, owned a home since I was 21. But like my kitchen, I could like carry Bradshaw and put shoes in my oven. Like, I don't like cooking. How do you like what? Like, first of all, a chef. Are you good at cooking? Like, how do you cook? Like, how is that the pathway? Like, I'm so confused. That's so random.
Very random for me too, because I was 16, 17, and I met this boy from LA, and he was a skipper on a yacht, and he told me how much money he was making. And he was making $500 a week. But to me, I was like, well, this is like $2,000 a month sailing around Croatia and partying with people, and I'm on a yacht. So in a second, I was like, I'm going to be a captain. And of course, like you can be a captain as a 17-year-old without no experience, right? Like that doesn't go that way. But you can just see how my brain works. It's like, I can do anything. How do I make it happen? And I Googled about the company and they said that you can be a chef and you earn like $350, $400 a week. And I was like, I can be a chef, like no problem. Girl, I had never, I mean, I cooked at home, but I mean like pasta with like some sauce over it. Like we're not talking chef, we're talking
More than I
feed
can do.
yourself.
So good for you. I can't do that shit. That's beyond my scope. That's for sure. That's not. I can't do any of that.
I love
Oh
it.
my god.
So what I did is I went on YouTube. I taught myself how to do fancy things, how to like plate nicely. Our food bill went through the roof. My mom was so upset because she was like, "What are you like? Who are you cooking for?" I had people over at 5:30 in the morning to eat my breakfast before we went to school, so I could practice like cooking for 14 people. And somehow people were just super down to do that. Like, don't ask me how. I just had a mission. And long story short, I had enough photos to submit to be, a chef. And
Wow.
they said yes to an academy, right? Where then they test you. It's kind of like a mini master chef, but on water. And then you're either accepted or you're not, but you have to pay a shit ton of money to go there.
Right. What the fuck? Okay. This kind of makes sense because when I'm hearing this, it's like, okay, you found someone that did this amazing thing and you got inspired. But I'm curious, like backtracking a little bit of like the 13-year-old of like, I want to hustle. Where did that influence come from? Because like wanting to be like a high achiever or that, but like, was it your dad? Was it your mom saying, like, I hope you choose another path because I chose this path? Like, where did that first moment where you're like, I want to be something, I'm going to do against what everyone's saying? Like, I feel like it has to be more than just your desire to help people. Like, because you seem like very money motivated. So, where did the money motivation come before the exposure to that guy to then choose the yacht path?
You know what it was? And I recently figured this out was the fact that we were never poor, but we were just okay, like a middle class or low middle class, like never hungry, nothing like that. But I remember so vividly when my mom came to me and she was very sad and she's like, "Hey, your best friend's going to England to study English, and we can't afford to send you there for 2 weeks because it was very expensive. It would probably be like a couple months of salary for me to go to this amazing experience." And I was like, damn, I felt bad. I felt bad for my mom that she felt like she can't give me something. But then I also understood that if I have my own money, then I don't have to ask anybody for anything ever. And that was,
Wow.
I think, that first click of seeing, well, I don't want to live your life. Like, I appreciate you guys, but that was the first time where I was like, okay, money means freedom, money means opportunities, money means safety. That was the first click. And I was 13, 14.
Wow. See, that makes so much sense to me because I used to be a financial coach. I don't even know if you know that, but I did financial coaching for women. And it's very interesting. A lot of our financial beliefs are formulated by age 7, but a lot of the, I think, action that then comes from those beliefs, I feel like starts to happen in those teen areas because your awareness changes. And my first memory of finance is really strong was, even though I had a lot of influence at younger age, was when I was 12, my dad sat me down and was like, if you want to go to college, you have to pay for it. And something about that, like, you're going to own this life. You're going to own financial wellness. You're going to own making your own money and whatever, clicked in me so different. And I worked a lot as young. Like, I mean, I was making $10,000, $15,000 in the summer. Like, I was doing all the kind of crazy shit that you were doing at a very young age, also going into college, being like, I'm not going to leave and go make 30K. Like, I literally was like, people go to college and spend 60K to go make 30K are fucking idiots. What are they? And then rent. And then like I was very kind of like a very, I don't know, rude kid. Cause I was very like my people my age are stupid. They're gonna go do this path and whatever. And I was like, I want something bigger. So I totally relate in all of that. Did you ever want to run a business? Like, did that ever come up, or you just were like, I'm gonna go make money, or did like the business idea come later? Like, when did the entrepreneurship? Because you're just a
So
hustler,
I
it
can
sounds like. Right? Did you always want to run the business? You know?
Yeah. I kind of touched on this like a few minutes ago, but I always wanted my own business. I just didn't want to lose my freedom with it because, as I told you, I saw old men balding in fancy cars going to an office with a suitcase and spending 18 hours in an office, never seeing their kids, never seeing their wives, their partners, like whoever that was. And I'm like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a CEO. Like, I see that. But the reason I kind of started 2 years ago with this specific business was because I didn't know how to do it where I can have freedom. And it didn't click. But I also remember this moment specifically where I was like, you know what? I got this. I was 18. I was working as a chef on yachts now about a year. And, I feel like you're the same. Everywhere you go, you're going to be the best because it's not even pushing others down or anything like that. You're just going to do your best and show up as best and then stand out because of it. And I did the same, even though, like, mind you, I say yachts because they call them yachts. This is like a 45-foot like sailboat with drunk people on them, like yacht, quote unquote.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but it was great for me to, start. I was definitely not a chef, so I got to learn and like get my sea legs and all of that. I remember 18 sunset in Greece, and this fabulous woman walks off an actual like mini yacht catamaran, and she's paying for it, and she's free, and she's traveling, and she's like dressed up nicely. And instead of chugging alcohol and partying with all my friends, I just walked up to her and I was like, "Hey," I introduced myself and we became such good friends and we're still friends to this day. Her
Shut
name's
the
Carrie.
fuck up. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's like, I love when women whip their schlongies out. Like, I love that so much. Is she like a lot older? Because you're so young. I'm just like, I can't imagine, like, imagine like a little like kiddo you like walking up to this fabulous woman and be like, do you want to be my
I
friend? Like, that's so fucking
literally.
hilarious. Oh my God. Okay. So what did she do? What's her job? Or like what's her career? I'm so
So
curious.
she was actually top 3 women in construction in the world doing billion-dollar deals. I had no idea. I didn't even ask her what she does. I just was like, I want to talk to her and I want to enjoy this moment. And like, I feel like that's my secret sauce in life is I always treat everybody that I meet as a potential connection, whether that is a friend, whether that is work related, but you never know who people are. And sometimes people are annoying as shit, but I'll still be nice and proper, except if they're like disrespectful. That's different. But, be like, listen, you never know when you're going to need to get in a club or get a connection or pull something off last minute. And she became my mentor, like not a paid mentor, but just kind of like my second mom, more from like a business work perspective. And she's what this is now 11 years later. She's in her 40s now. She's watched me go from, a little kiddo walking up to her to then going through 3 different careers and now like fully building my own business. And she's just like such a good inspiration and guide in life to see. And you need similar minded women, especially to talk to, because being an entrepreneur and being a woman is not easy.
It's tough, yeah. Wow. I just am so in awe of the fact that this girl's like, you guys are like buddies. Like, it's not like you met her and you're like, I think about her all the time. It's like, you guys are like in cahoots, like texting each other and calling. I don't, first of all, who does this anymore? Okay, first of all, can we just say, if anyone is listening to this, I am so about, I remember I was talking to like this young girl and she was like, what's your biggest advice about, she was in high school going to college, like how to be successful in college? I was like, it's not about the grades you make, it's about the hands you shake. I've always believed that. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I love that phrase. And I remember the first time I was told that in college, and I was like, it resonated with me so deeply because so often we look at like the resume, the list of the things, and a lot of the time, exposure to greatness comes from exposure from greatness. Like, I believe that we see potential in ourselves when we're exposed to it. And so, experiences and connections are really what I think has made my career as well. What did her influence do for you when you started like seeing her do that? Did it just, I'm sure that was like insane and probably has been one of the biggest influences on you. How did you like navigate creating that relationship, adding value back to her. Like, I think a lot of people are scared when they feel like they're here and someone else is here to like connect with someone. Did you feel a sense of like imposter syndrome, or do you just feel like a fucking badass because you have this girl in your corner now?
I love that you asked that question because it's so true, but that never crosses my mind. Because I always enter relationships as in like, I don't want anything from you, right? I'm here to provide and give value to you, whether that be showing up to your birthday party, saying hi, or texting you when I'm in London, because she used to live in London, calling you, saying hi, like very simple. Because I was broke, like I wasn't broke, but I mean, I was 18 working, getting $400 a week. I wasn't balling.
Yeah.
So, and I spent every penny traveling. But she showed me one that women can do what I wanted to do. And
Mhm.
because how different I was, she was like, "Oh, I want you to be a brand ambassador for my travel company." She took me to Condé Nast, super like fancy events. She was my, I want to say sugar mama, but like not in like a bad sense of the word
Yeah,
sugar
yeah,
mama.
yeah. No, no, no. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank you
but
for
she like,
clarifying that. That was
yeah, like she's gonna kill me. She's like, "What are you saying online?" But she flew me to Vegas because she was there on a layover for 2 days and I was in Los Angeles. She's like, "Why don't we come hang out? Come to Mandarin Oriental with me." That was my first time staying at a five-star hotel. She surprised me with the room, took me out to like a really nice dinner, put like Jimmy Choo shoes on me and like a really nice dress. And I was just like, wow. And it wasn't about the dresses and the shoes and the room. It's the experience I got to have and be like, oh, there's so much more to life than I could have even imagined. And that was the biggest thing with her. And always saying things that other people wouldn't say. So she saw my potential 1,000%. And a lot of times I feel like ourselves, we see our potential at like 50 or 60, or, some people are very confident. But when you're a beginner, when you don't know what you're doing, you're definitely not seeing yourself as like, oh, I'm here 100%. And every time, I kid you not, when I would start playing small, she would, be like, hey, what are you doing? Like just a friendly reminder, like you're worth more than that. Kind of like a mom, but more in a sense of why are you doing this? Like, don't be afraid, just go for it. Jump in, dive in. And this is the most beautiful thing I'm about to tell you. I used to work for like the rich and famous, and I pretty much sold my soul for a salary. But from 23 to 28, it was honestly a great experience. I just wish that I would have realized that 15K a month, which, to me was a shit ton of money just because from where I come from. And it is a lot still. Like, I mean, it's a good salary even for like a normal, person from US. But I thought that that was it for me. And that's why I stayed with them, even though I was disrespected. I had no freedom. I wasn't happy. I call it my golden cage because I was stuck on a yacht with people that I didn't really necessarily want to be there with. And I call her actually in April and I was like, hey, I started my business. Like, I'm doing this full out. And she's like, I knew you're going to come here. I was waiting for your call. I got you. And she sent me so many contacts, so many women to talk to, so many like people to get
wow.
inspired, to learn from. And I was just like, you meet everybody for a reason, whether that be a good lesson, a bad lesson, just a lesson, whatever that is. But I really truly believe that when it's like a proper interaction, you're there to learn something from them.
That's so incredible. And I have like so many things that are going through my brain as I'm listening to you say. One is the power of women in your corner. That's why it's so interesting. I don't know your thoughts on this, and we can get into this in a second. Of like, it's funny. I someone asked me one time, I did like a this or that, and it was like one on one or masterminds. And I was like, masterminds? And they're like, what? Which is funny because I've always, I've worked with a lot of like private mentors and stuff. I just think when women are together, there is magic. Like, we are just such natural, like, nurturers. Like, we just want to support and love. Like, that's why I'm like, women, we have the edge. We want to help each other. So like, stop fucking hiding behind other people and being like, not ask a question. Like, I just think women are so empowering. So the fact that you've had that person, but it actually reminds me of a random story that I'm gonna like pause to share that is not about me. But when I'm listening to you talk, I'm just thinking about this like conversation around like nurture versus nature, like who we are naturally as people, but then also our environment and how much it changes. And what I'm hearing from you talk about is like, you had this person in your corner who like didn't let you not be your greatest self. And I don't even know if this story is true. I think it was Thomas Edison. Watch me as a stupid American. I'm gonna like pin myself as a dumb American with these stories. But Thomas Edison, right? Like, he went to school. I believe this is him. I just read this the other day. He went to school, and I guess his teacher thought he was an idiot. And his teacher sent home a note with him that said, like, I'm sorry, ma'am, like we have to expel your son. He's an idiot. Like we can't have him here. And I'm like gonna cry because when women are like love on, oh my god, I just love it. Anyway, mothers, I love mothers. But she read this letter back to her son, and she goes, "Honey, like I got the note. They think you're too much of a genius. I have to homeschool you because like you're too smart for the school." Instead of telling her son that he was an idiot, and he became one of the greatest inventors of the world. I don't know if that's just a lie for social media, but I'm gonna fucking use it and regurgitate it today because I can. But I literally read this and I'm sitting here with my boyfriend crying. And he's like, "What are you reading that you're crying?" And I was like, "Mothers are just amazing." And he's like, "Is this from Lauren?" One of my best friends who has 2 kids. And I read it to him and I just started crying again. And he's like, "Why are you so emotional about this story?" He's like, "I don't know if that's true." And I said, "I don't care that it's true. The thing that I took away from that is like, we have so much power with our words and the way we make someone feel to literally let people become their greatest selves." And I'm not saying that you're not exceptional on your own, because I can tell in 5 seconds that like you would have fucking done the greatest shit. But the fact that you, first of all, had the balls to meet this woman and then let her pour into you to bring this amazing greatness into your life that maybe you wouldn't have had exposure to without her. Like, I just think that is the coolest fucking shit. And the reason that I cried when I read the story is because I realized like the power of the way we make people see about themselves, like what they can see in themselves, can literally change lives forever. And I feel like when you go back to like your belief around like helping people, I think that rooted in that is you want people to see their greatest potential. I don't know if that like makes sense, but I just had to share that because I read that the other day and I was crying my little eyes out. And that's why I want to cry at your story. Because I'm like, this girl changed your life and all she had to do was see you. Like all she had to do was see your potential. That's insane. It's
Exactly
insane.
that. And you know what's so beautiful that with the story that you shared is like you literally need one human to say yes to you or to see you. That's it. You don't need 50,000, a million where people think, "Oh, but I'm a nobody. I don't know where to start." You need one person, not really even, but or
Yeah.
one door, one yes that can change your whole life. And I don't personally love Coca-Cola, but I also tell this story a lot to people because it just got ingrained in my brain. But they sold 25 bottles their first year.
Yeah. Yeah.
25. And they could have said, like, well, screw it, right? Like, this is not good. And it just shows you where, like, if you believe in something and then you will meet like minded people. And when they see something in you, I actually have a question for you because you've been in this for longer than me. And I've been currently going through losing, I'm going to say friends in quotation marks because that's not really your friends. But when you grow, you will lose your people. When you go after what you really truly want and you tap into who you fully are, you start speaking your truth, you're going to lose people. And it sucks. When it first happens, I'm talking like, I kid you not, like 100 people that I used to live for, take care of, pretty
Yeah.
much marked me as the devil. And I was like, I know I'm not doing anything wrong, right? But when so many people are basically telling you they're doing something wrong, and I'm like, are you kidding me? But the beauty of it is then you make space for the right type of people to come in.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you had like a similar experience.
No, I mean, yeah, for sure. I think there's two ways to look at it. One of my good friends, her name's Abigail. She's like one of those people, she just always says the right thing. And I went through this season, not really just because I was a business owner, but just also because I was changing as a person. And I had a lot of like friends I kind of carried through my 20s from like college or whatever. And I'm very lucky many of them are still there. But I remember one time she's like, sometimes things are just meant for a season, but it doesn't mean it was wrong. It was meant for just a part of your life. Some things are forever, some things are seasons. And I always, every time I feel heaviness at a time, I'm like, it's just a season. And like, I know it's such a silly thing, but it does help me remind that like, just because something happened doesn't mean that like it's going to be forever, good and bad. Like also the good things, like sometimes you'll go through different seasons of that. But the other thing that I actually said this to a client the other day, and she was like, it's so fucking hard. Like, I don't feel like no one gets this. And I'm like, if you want to be in the top 1%, you have to be willing to be misunderstood by the 99%. And she was like, damn. And I just said that to her because like, I even said this I run a group mastermind called the Headquarters, and they're all talking. We were talking about like being exceptional. And like, do you guys realize it's 10 o'clock on a Wednesday? You guys are sitting in this room talking about growth and mindset, whatever. Most people, no offense to anyone, because we all choose our own path, woke up, maybe sitting next to a partner they don't love, go to a job that they don't love, sit in a cubicle, do something they don't love, and then go home and binge Love Island. That's their normal day. Again, no shame on 9 to 5s or whatever, because I actually think 9 to 5s can be incredible opportunities if you're in one that you love. But what a lot of people do 90% of their time is something that they don't love. As going back to this conversation of freedom, as a business owner, I get to interview and exceptional women on a podcast. I get to sit with women and help them reach their highest potential. I get to like walk my boyfriend's dog who I wanted to murder 6 months ago. I shouldn't say that on a podcast out loud. And now like we're bonding a little bit, like we're friendly-ish. And I get to walk her in the morning while dropping an amazing training. Like that gets to be my life. I'd have to then earn that in sacrificing things that most people accept. And that is really, really hard. And I think when people, that's why I really hate the narrative of like, oh, you can just like basically breathe and like everything works out. It's like hard work doesn't have to be hard. But I think the hard work of business is more internal of like being able to accept what you want and get rid of things that I think everyone else tells you should be normal or expected. It's not really like you have to like hustle or work a lot of hours. I think it's a different level of hard work. It's more of a mental game. And that's how I've always looked at business is like, if I want to accept or if I want to achieve something that most people can't have, I can't accept what most people do have. And so I have to be one, okay with it, and two, also accept it in a good way of like, I get the luxury to let these things go to experience more. And it doesn't make it easy necessarily. I think a lot of like, scaling is new levels, new devils, but it does remind me in the pursuit of greatness that like I get the luxury to let those things go. And most people, that's the greatest thing they'll ever have. And I get to let it go and receive something better. That's cool. That's how I look at it.
So cool. No, I love that. And I actually just recorded like a little voice note for my people because I had this realization basically of what you're talking about, that it's not that they love you because they feel comfortable around you. And then as soon as you start growing, they feel threatened, or you're a mirror of what they're not doing or what they're not achieving or whatever. And that's when friendships break. Normally, that would be the reason. Because when you think back on like when someone screws up, you make it up because you're still on that level, or they're like above you. But there's not a lot of people that are below you, whatever that means below you, right? Success, love, in any area of your life, that are willing to stay your friends because you make them uncomfortable. What you said is so beautiful. Like you get to let go of that and get something even better, where for
Yeah.
some people, that's just a highlight.
Exactly. Has the relationship with this incredible woman in your life, like, did she inspire you to become a business coach or did she just influence like the way that you wanted to coach? Like, I'm curious how she impacted like your current business today.
You know what's the scariest question I've ever been asked? And this might seem funny to some, but what do you want in life? Or who do you want to be? Because I have always been so good at so many things that a traditional path is like a doctor, a dentist. I'm like, that sounds so boring to me. There's no traditional path to what we both do. You just kind of get to it. It's not like, oh, there's a school and then, no, you get through life
So
experience.
she probably fall into it in the weirdest way and it just kind of works out. Yeah.
Exactly. And you show up every single day to make it happen. But when I lost my job, which was honestly in September, I was so scared because I was like, what in the bloody hell am I going to do now? Again, I know I'm great at so many things, but what am I going to do specifically? How can I actually like teach? How can I give back? And she is more old school and in a sense was kind of like worried about me using Instagram and social media because that is a new era of business and I completely understand that. But having that perspective also made me realize of like, okay, how do I do this very nicely, like very me, to stand out? And she was really great guide in that. But I think what made me want to be a business coach was just seeing like women like you or women like Brianna Johnson. She was one of the business coaches that I looked up to as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like I could do this. It's going to be slightly different because I have different experiences. But
Right.
looking at like leaders in the industry, and the beauty of it is we live in the world where I can just DM you and we can talk. And then people don't understand that you don't even have to be a somebody. Like I have people who maybe can't afford, and maybe you do the same. Like maybe they can't afford your services, but if someone is like, oh, I can't afford it, you're like, well, okay. But if
Yeah.
someone's like, hey, I want to work with you, I'll put in extra hours. Is there a way to do a payment plan? Like, how can I do this? When they're so eager, you're like, well, you're going to make it. So it's not about the 5K, 10K investment. It's like, that's the type of person I want to work with because we are those
Yeah.
type of people.
Exactly. I literally have a screenshot from a client, and I remember the day that she signed up with me. She's like, I'm going to stretch to make the $800, just so funny, $800 per month payment. And she's like, in the next couple months, I'm going to message you, be like, I just did 80K in a month. 4 months later, she had an 80K cash month. And the next month, she had a 100K cash month. And I was like, yeah, those $800 a month payments don't feel so big anymore, do they? And it was just like, I remember I have a screenshot where she literally said, like, $800 a month feels so stretchy to me. And like, I think that there's something so cool in that because, there are people that are like, I'm going to make it work. Now, I don't tell people to go take out a loan to work with me. Absolutely not. But like, even for myself, my first investment in business was $15,000. And it was a coach that I did not know. I just randomly messaged because someone was like, oh, she's my mentor. It's like, okay, sounds good. I don't know, whatever that is. And then a year later, I made a $50,000 investment for Buy the Blazer, which at the time was 3 months old and hadn't even done 50K on its own. And so it's just really interesting sometimes. I've always said that the reason I love, the types of women that I attract is because they're like me. They're just like, I'm going to fucking make it happen. And I refuse. I will never in my life not make a payment to a client or a payment to a vendor. I never in my life will be like, I can't afford something. That to me is coming from lack. Like, it might not be that I look at things like I'm not going to go try to buy a Lamborghini today. Doesn't make sense for me financially. But I'm never in this place where I'm like, I'm not going to make it happen. And so I think that that's something very like similar with both of us is like, we give a shit about our clients. Yes, we have expensive, I'm sure, services and things. But at the end of the day, like, we also can see in someone that just like they're gonna make it happen. Like, they might be the newest in the bunch. I have clients who literally come to me with $0 made in their business, making a 20K investment. Like, it happens all the time. And that's why I hate the narrative. I could go down the whole rabbit hole. Like, I hate the narrative. Like, you have to do something cheap and blah, blah, blah for like new people. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, there are new people like me who make a 15K investment round one. And I just think that's something like really, really cool and thinking about that. So when you then started your business, did she influence the way you led in your business? Did you like take her and say, I'm going to do it my own way? Like, how did she kind of bleed into like the acceleration of the first couple months of your coaching company?
I actually didn't tell her in the beginning because I was like,
Really?
yeah, because I was still figuring it out. And when I'm in my process of, like you have to niche down, you have to understand offers and how to do it and all of that. And I just dive in. I'm pretty much was like you. I was like, I had $0 made. I'm paying like $5,000 a month for a mentor, earning $0, just lost my job. I'm like, you know what, screw it. We're going all in and we're making this happen. And
Yeah.
I didn't tell her because I was like, I need to have this super defined. So I actually called her in April, so October till April, and
Oh, shit.
told her
Right.
everything.
That would
Yeah,
have been later. Holy crap. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
yeah. Of course, it was public. So she was paying attention and everything. And she gave me some really good feedback. She gave me some really good connection. And she felt very happy to, help me out now that I'm on a different level, give me books to read, and just like talk to me from more of like a business mentor now. But as I
Yeah.
said, she's in a different industry where, it's in person. She works with the royalty in like, Dubai and the sheiks and all of that. So it's a very different
Totally
type of
different.
business where women are like not even that respected, and she's always treated, which is one of my favorite stories, she's always treated like she's the assistant and everybody ignores her, and then she walks into the presentation room and everybody's like, oh shit, we just ignored the boss. Tough luck.
Of course, of course. That's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't tell my parents about my business for 2 years. So it's sometimes because I was the same way. That's so interesting how like she kind of has been this like mentor to you, but then you probably feel like a pressure to like, I want to present it to you when I like know what the fuck I'm doing. What's like your vision for your business? Because obviously freedom has been a really big thing. Do you feel like you found what freedom looks like in your business now? Are you still in the pursuit of that? What does that look like?
You know what's my favorite thing about this business specifically is the fact that I'm nowhere near like the income that I know I'm gonna be making, right? I'm like, I had a couple businesses before and I know where I'm going. And to me, the best thing ever is the fact that I have weekends now. Like I never, since I was 13, had weekends. I didn't even understand what that is. And now I wake up on a Saturday and I was like, or a Monday is a weekend. Like it does not matter because I make my own schedule. And I was like, you know what? Even if I earn zero money from this for a while, which I mean, in the beginning is kind of the case, you just could keep showing up. But
Yeah,
the fact that I get to plan my days how I want to, the fact I don't have to touch my phone and be on it 24/7, dealing with stupid requests for, people who don't appreciate me is the perfect freedom. And then when you actually see the business that you create where, I was in Thailand, I didn't have Wi-Fi, and I'm still wired to working 18-hour days. And then all of a sudden I disappear for a whole day and I get a $5,000 wire transfer. And I'm like, oh, this is my life now. Like, this is what I wanted 2 years ago. And now this is the freedom, this is the business that's going to take me what I was like basically to the point where I was dreaming about when I was 13. I just didn't know the vehicle of how to get there.
That's incredible. For anyone who listens, because I think sometimes as high achieving women, we associate being able to make more money with more work. I have this conversation every day with clients. We're like, I can't imagine scaling to 50K months because then I'm gonna have to work all the time or whatever. And I'm like, honestly, it's the easiest time in your business ever. It's like 50K months. I don't know why that was just the easiest for me. But like when you think about approaching freedom, like are there any tips or anything that you can give the audience to kind of take with them to think about when they're structuring either their offers, deliverables, their time, their schedule, anything that worked very well for you that you think would be helpful for the audience to take with them?
Yes, 1,000%. First of all, when I was a beginner, when I first started with my like first online business, I was trying to do too much and offer too much for a very little price. And then if you start a membership, for example, and you offer call, 4 times a month, and then that grows, then you're stuck in that. So you have to know your value way before you're
Yeah,
big and have good prices because as you said, like you do not need to have beginner prices because even if someone is a beginner, you will activate them to the level where they want to be and they will find 20K, they will find 50K, their own decision. You're not forcing anybody, like you said, but that was the reason you paid 15K when it didn't make sense. And the reason I jumped into a mentorship that's $54,000 a year without a job and just no business technically, but I knew, and that like going in those spaces is what really truly matters. And I would say that I am always a person that wants to save time. And I understand if I put myself in space, and I think that would be another secret cheat code in life, go be with people who have made it already. Pay for the room, listen to their podcasts, read the books, because why invent something where there's already a strategy that works and then you just take that system and make it your own?
so freaking good. I freaking love it. Oh, I don't know if we could end any better than there, but I do have one final question for you that we ask all of our guests. Can you share something that you are indulging on right now in your life? It could be a podcast, a drink, a nail polish color, anything. I will share mine because I already ate it and it doesn't look as pretty. Starbucks came out with raspberry cold foam and it was exceptional. So I just want to share with the audience. I got a white chocolate mocha with raspberry cold foam. I got almond milk because I don't do regular milk because it will make me fat. But the raspberry cold foam was 10 out of 10. If anyone wants to try it, I think it's brand new this week. So that's mine this week. But is there anything that you're indulging on that you want to share with everyone?
I don't know if you're a matcha person, but I make a bomb ass matcha and it's my morning ritual. And I make it with like really fatty coconut milk just because then it's delicious instead of watered down. I put
Okay.
collagen powder in. By the way, this is like a promo, but if we're doing this is the best collagen that I've ever tried. It's in little
Okay.
packets.
This is good. Okay. Love that.
Not sponsored.
Okay.
Do not know them. Amazing collagen.
Like this brand deal. Here we go. No, you're the
But
second person who's been like, my matcha in the morning is amazing. I'm like, what the? I am not a matcha girl. Although I bet
because
this
we
would
haven't
taste
had a good one.
matcha. I feel like this could be a cool little combo. I'm not a matcha girl, but apparently my audience is. So you're speaking to the right audience.
I think also I would never be a matcha girl until I had a good matcha because it can taste like earth and bitter, or it
Like
can
grass,
taste like heaven.
earth,
Yeah,
tastes
like
like earth. That's so accurate.
because
Oh
they
my
don't know
god.
how to make it. But I'm telling you, coconut milk, collagen powder, because it makes it thick and you get protein in with it. And then a really high quality matcha, like from Japan, mix it. And then I have it iced. Girl, it is heaven, like green gold on earth. It is so good. And I haven't really drank coffee because my husband doesn't drink coffee. So then I'm not as like I love coffee, but I'm not about to go to a coffee shop alone while he stares, at the ceiling. So I switched to matcha. And now if I have coffee, I'm like jittery. Also, in US, you guys have this thing called nitro brew that is,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
girl,
Good.
that is scary. I mean, it's good, but I had a whole thing not knowing what I'm drinking. I think I was up for a week. I'm like, this is not healthy.
I love how the things that we in the US like consume on a day-to-day basis, other people will come in and be like, this would kill me. Like, I remember when my friend came in from Toronto and she was in the US and she goes, your portions are insane. And I was like, oh, she's like, this is the amount of spaghetti I would eat in 5 meals. I was just plated. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. So that's a very big cultural change. Okay, but the matcha, we got the promo. We're going to save that. We'll link that below for everyone for the episode. I'll get Lexi to find that and link it. And if you ever become an affiliate, give us the affiliate link. We'll share it with people. Sarah, thank you, first of all, for sharing your matcha genius. Now I know. Now I know that I don't have to drink grass. And thank you for all your expertise and knowledge today. This was literally like so freaking fun. I'm so happy that we could have you on.
I love this so much. I cannot wait for people to tune in and get inspired and fired up just by our energy and our back and forths. And it was so nice to like get to know you and
I feel
chat.
like now I just want to go sit around a yacht and find a bougie bestie. Not like I'm so inspired by that. Like that's my takeaway from today. I'm like, my best friend is currently sitting on a fucking yacht, walking around with her sarong and her book and her Gucci glasses, and like I need to find her new best friend. That's my action item from today. Sarah, thank you so much. I adore you.